Hey you guys, welcome back to all of my hairstylist friends and also to all of the salon professionals tuning in. I want to share a post with you that really stopped me in my tracks this week, and I wanted to address this topic head on. But first, let's take a look at the post. It says, "So I have a client that got cranky with me because I wouldn't let her bring her dogs while she has her service. I'll find another hairdresser that likes dogs," she says. "What's everyone's thought on this?" Now, knowing that I'm likely to be the first one on the floor to get puppy snuggles, and knowing that some people view their pets as their children or family, and understanding that some pets have a hard time being left alone at home, I understand that wanting your furry companion nearby can be paramount to some people. However, from a business owner standpoint, this decision should not be forced upon you based on your client's passing whim. Also, having pets that are not service animals in the salon can be tricky, especially if you're in a traditional salon setting with others. There could be a myriad of reasons why you may want to decline a client's request to allow their pet in your salon space. Maybe someone in the salon is allergic. Maybe someone has a fear of dogs. Maybe you as the owner don't want to worry about a pet misbehaving or being disruptive. Or maybe you've already had an incident with a pet before and don't feel comfortable having them back. While accommodating individuals with disabilities and their service animals is extremely important and also legally required, it's also important to understand the distinction between service animals, emotional support animals, and pets, as well as the legal rights and responsibilities associated with them. My aim for today's episode is to clarify the difference between a service animal, support animal, and pet, provide guidance navigating these legal boundaries in a sensitive manner, and discuss a proactive step you can take right now to minimize future requests from clients to bring in non-service animals into your space. However, before we dive into today's topic, I want to introduce myself. Hi, my name's Mary. I'm a former hairstylist turned business development coach with over 10 years of experience behind the chair. If this is your first time to the channel, welcome, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. In this channel, I cover tough, real-life situations stylists face and talk about how you can use good communication and critical thinking to maximize the odds of a good outcome while minimizing future frustrations. I want to help you bulletproof your business so you can stress less and get back to what you love doing, bringing your talents to the world one head of hair at a time. So let's get started. So this client asked to bring her dogs in with no mention of them being service animals. And when the salon owner declined the request, the client responded in a rude and downright snarky manner. Here's the thing though, the business has the right to say no to having pets around. The business owner made the choice to say no, and now the client has the same freedom of choice to go elsewhere. After seeing the rude response, if I were her stylist, I would be more than happy to let that one go because the client should have the grace and kindness to know that they won't get their way all the time. And expecting others to cater to them in that manner is very entitled behavior. And I'm just not a fan of that personally. However, how do we professionally handle a situation where a client asks to bring their animal or worse, just shows up with a pet in tow? So many thoughts would be running through my mind. Are we just to assume that they're a service animal? Are they trained? Are they going to bark at every passerby? Are they going to run around getting under people's feet, which is a liability issue? There's just so many factors to think about. Times like this, I always wished that I had a quick reference guide because while you can easily say no to letting a pet into your business, what about service animals? And also, what about emotional support animals? Now, before we dive into what to tell the client, let's look at the difference between emotional support animals and service animals. I often see these two terms used interchangeably, but ultimately they are not the same, and it is important to know the difference. According to the ADA, which is the Americans with Disabilities Act, service animals are highly trained and specifically trained to perform tasks that assist individuals with disabilities. These animals are not considered pets. However, they are considered working animals providing necessary assistance to their owner. On the flip side, an emotional support animal is a pet that provides relief to individuals with emotional or mental disorders through companionship. Emotional support animals may be any type of pet that provides support, comfort, or aid to an individual through companionship, unconditional positive regard, and affection. However, I was surprised to find out in my research that these animals are not specifically trained to perform a task and therefore are not recognized as service animals under the Americans with Disabilities Act. While emotional support animals give their owner peace of mind by being present, service animals are trained to perform specific tasks such as helping a blind person navigate, alerting a deaf owner, or detecting a seizure before it happens, whereas an emotional support animal doesn't require any formal training at all to assist with the mitigation of any symptoms. The third category here is a pet, and unlike the emotional support animal or the service animal, a pet joining their owner is solely for the owner's enjoyment. Now, since salons aren't like a restaurant or grocery store that sells food, animals are generally fine to have around in salons, but this choice is ultimately up to the salon owner. Now, with that being said, I always say double check this with your local state board, as each county, city, and state has different statutes, regulations, and policies. Now, when I was behind the chair, I knew that allowing clients to bring a pet anytime could potentially cause an issue if I ever had a client that was scared or allergic to dogs. And I also know that not everyone has a well-trained pet. So my own personal policy stated that animals were not allowed in the salon. However, service animals were always welcome. In case you were not aware, this is a federal mandate, and while an establishment may choose not to allow pets, you must allow a service animal. Now, here comes the tricky part, you guys. How can you determine the difference between pets, emotional support animals, and service animals? I know some of you out there may be saying, duh, Mary, you just asked, but I'm here to say it actually isn't that easy, because there are basically only two questions that you can ask in order to make this determination. So we're going to start with the questions that you cannot ask. You cannot ask your clients to disclose their disability. You cannot ask your client to provide medical documentation proving their disability. You cannot ask to see an identification card for the animal in question, and you cannot ask to see the animal perform a task. Instead, here are the two questions that you can ask your client. First, you can ask if the animal is required because of a disability. This is going to help you determine if the animal is a pet, an emotional support animal, or a service animal. If the answer to this question is no, the animal is a pet, you can exclude the animal. If the answer is yes, the animal is for a disability or is a service animal, you can proceed to question 2. So what is question 2? Well, you can ask what work or task the animal is trained to do. The answer to this question is going to determine whether or not you allow or exclude the animal. So if your client answers that the animal is trained to guide them, help them with balance or mobility, alert them to a condition, pick up or carry items, remind them to take a medication, get help, stabilize them during a seizure, redirect their attention from a trigger, or do some other task to provide some service that the person is unable to do themselves, then the animal is a trained service animal and must be allowed. However, if your client simply refuses to answer, the animal can be excluded. If your client discloses their disability but refuses to disclose what the animal is trained to do, the animal can be excluded. If your client provides documentation or certification that the animal is a service animal, but neither the documentation nor the client can explain what the animal is trained to do, the animal can be excluded. If your client answers only that the animal can sit, stay, lie down, come when called, or do something else related to obedience and good manners, this does not indicate the animal is trained to provide services for a disability, and the animal can be excluded. If your client answers that the animal makes them feel better, helps them calm down, eases their depression, or something similar, this would indicate that this is an emotional support animal, and in this case, it is the animal's presence alone that helps their handler, and that the animal is not trained to do a task or provide a service. Because the animal does not meet the training requirement, the business can exclude the animal. So, knowing what we know now, how would you reply to the client asking to bring their pet or pets in? I would personally say something like this. Dear Jane, I wanted to start off by saying thank you for your patronage over the years. It's been a joy getting to know you. I wanted to address your request to bring in your cherished dogs. While I absolutely love dogs and have one of my own, from a liability standpoint and for the comfort and convenience of all guests, I cannot allow pets into the salon. The only exception to this policy are trained service animals that are accompanying their handler while they receive their service. Thank you for understanding, and please do not hesitate to reach out if you have any further questions or concerns regarding this matter. Warmest wishes, Mary. So I want you to note that I started with a positive note to set the tone, addressed the question from the client, told them why my decision was what it was, gave the exception to the rule, and ended on a positive note. It was simple, professional, and straight to the point. If this client were to come back stating, my dogs are service animals, now you know exactly what to ask and know what to look for when they give their answers. So now that we've covered how to identify a service dog and differentiate them from a pet or an emotional support animal, let's look at a way that we can be proactive about clients asking to bring in their pets. Now, the best thing you can do here is super simple. Just make a pet policy and make sure it's prominently displayed where you know your clients are going to see it. I always made sure that my policies were on my website, printed in my salon or studio, on my socials, on my Google business page, and on all new client intake forms. I especially loved my new client intake forms because if a client was ever not in compliance or if I needed to quote a policy, I could simply send them a copy of their signed form, which 9.9 times out of 10 squashed any pushback. I'm telling you, you guys, doing what you can to be proactive in situations like this is magical. I hope this information can help you feel empowered in knowing your rights as a business owner the next time you run into a situation where a client tries to bring in a pet. While we as an industry want to be an inclusive space for people who are differently abled than us, we also want to ensure that we don't have someone's pet causing chaos, further making it harder for individuals with legitimate service animals. All right, you guys, that's all I have for this week. Don't forget to like this video and to subscribe to the channel. My goal is to empower stylists through the power of excellent communication and critical thinking. For an example of my new client intake form, along with an easy guide on how to determine whether or not an animal is a service animal, be sure to check out this week's blog post. I'll have the link in the show notes down below. Also, did you know you can stay connected with me through Instagram and Threads? You can find me on both. My handle on either is @thestylistconsultant. Lastly, if you're feeling stuck or slow to grow, I order affordable coaching packages. These sessions aren't just me talking at you. Instead, we talk and I will assess your business from the online presence to your guest experience, and together we will streamline and automate processes while cultivating a memorable guest experience. I guarantee you will see immediate changes in your business through the use of proven business strategies that drive businesses around the globe, even businesses outside of our industry. I'm excited to help you get started on your business journey. You've got this, and in the off chance you need me along the way, I'm here to help. Wishing you a business journey filled with peace, joy, and balance. Again, my name is Mary, and I'm the Stylist Consultant. I'll see you back here next week. Bye.